So let's talk about something huge happening in India right now. A massive wave of people is moving to the cities, and it's creating this entirely new social class. And at the heart of it is a really strange paradox. How can millions of people be absolutely essential to a city's economy, but at the same time be completely invisible to the systems that are supposed to run that city?
It all kicks off with this question that just doesn't seem to make any sense. You move to the city for a better job, for a higher wage, right? But what if I told you that promise of more money is actually a trap? How on earth can earning more leave you poorer than when you started? That's the puzzle we're going to piece together today.
And we need to be really clear about this from the get-go. This isn't a mistake, it's not a bug in the system, it's a feature. This invisibility we're talking about is being actively, deliberately manufactured. So let's dive in and see how it works.
Okay, first up, becoming a shadow citizen. The moment a person leaves their village for the city, a really strange transformation begins. We're not just talking about a change of address, we're talking about a change in identity. It's a process where their political and social status gets stripped away.
This whole idea hinges on something called differentiated citizenship. Now, you'd think your rights as a citizen would follow you wherever you go in your country. That's the theory anyway, but in practice, for many, those rights are tied to their home village. They're geographically tethered. So when you leave, your rights, they don't exactly pack a bag and come with you.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly. Back in the village, you're a full citizen. You have a place in the community, you can get government food rations, you have a political voice. You matter. Then you move to the city, and suddenly you become a shadow citizen. Sure, you're working, you're contributing to the economy, but you're politically a ghost. You're not seen as a resident with rights, you're just seen as a unit of labor.
So you've lost your political voice. But that's just the first trap. Next up is the economic one. Part 2, the high cost of poverty. This is where we watch that promise of a bigger paycheck just completely dissolve into thin air.
We've all heard it, right? Wages are higher in the city. But that's an economic mirage. It confuses the number on your paycheck with what that money can actually buy you. Think about it. In a village, childcare might be an ant helping out. Housing is the family home. In the city, every single one of those things, every little service, comes with a hefty price tag.
All right, take a look at this number. 1,200 rupees a month. Any guesses what that could be for? Rent? Food for the month?
Nope. That's what it can cost a family of 4 just to use a community toilet in a slum paying per use. It's this massive expense that literally doesn't exist back home, and it just eats away at that supposed higher wage. And this all leads to something called the poverty tax. See, if you don't have a fridge or a secure place to store food, you can't buy in bulk. So you're forced to buy everything in tiny, single-use sachets, a little bit of oil, a little bit of shampoo. The problem? Those items have the highest possible markup. It's a brutal irony. The people with the least amount of money end up paying the most for their basic goods.
Okay, so we've covered the political trap and the economic trap. Let's move on to part 3, a city designed to divide. This is about how the physical layout of the city, the walls, the gates, the roads, actually forces people into a corner where they have to choose between surviving and following the law. And this is the fundamental catch-22 of their new life. The very things you need to do to survive, find a place to sleep, find a way to earn a living, are often considered illegal by the city's own rules. Here's how that cycle works. First, housing. The only affordable place to live is in a settlement the city has labeled illegal. Then work. A common job is street vending, but getting the required license can be almost impossible. So now your home is illegal and your work is illegal. The result? You're living in a constant state of illegality. And how can you possibly stand up and demand your rights when your very existence there is criminalized? You know, this separation is so structured, so intentional, that some scholars call it urban apartheid. Think about all the new gated communities with their giant walls. The domestic workers and drivers who work inside those walls, they often have to use a separate service gate. They clean the swimming pools they could never swim in and maintain the parks they can't relax in. It's segregation, built right into the architecture of the city.
So, all of this brings us to the next layer of invisibility. Part 4, unseen, unsafe, uncounted. This is about how the city's official systems, its safety nets, and its data collection methods just fail to see these people at all.
With no real support from the state, people have to rely on their own networks. Friends from their village, people from their caste. Now, this provides a kind of safety net, which is crucial. but it's fragile, and it creates what are called labor ghettos. For example, you might only get a job at a textile mill because your uncle works there. So you're locked into that specific trade in that specific area, which basically kills any chance you have of moving up in the world.
And this invisibility is even worse for women. A male migrant might be visibly working, but he's often socially isolated, losing his status. A female migrant, though, can become invisible twice over. On a construction site, for instance, a husband and wife might get hired as a team, but the wage is only paid to the husband, so she becomes an unpaid family worker. She's doing the back-breaking labor, but disappears completely from the employment statistics.
And this might be the most shocking part of this whole story. The last official census in India was conducted in 2011. Let that sink in. Urban planners are literally designing the cities of the future using population data that's over a decade old. They are planning for a city that no longer exists. On top of that, the method they use is flawed. The census counts people based on where they sleep, but huge numbers of migrants don't have a fixed address. They sleep on pavements, in the factories where they work, or on rotating shifts. They literally fall through the cracks of the data. And here's why that matters. If you aren't counted, then for the city budget, you simply don't exist. You don't get allocated resources for water, or sanitation, or healthcare.
So, when you put all of these pieces together, the political, the economic, the physical, and the statistical invisibility, they combine to create this powerful psychological state. And this is the final piece of the puzzle, the permanent temporary trap.
One researcher put it this way, and it's just a gut punch. They live in the city for 20 years, yet every day feels temporary. Can you imagine that? 2 decades in a place and never once feeling like you truly belong, never feeling secure.
This is the ultimate trap, permanent temporariness. Because your housing is illegal, why would you invest in fixing it up? A bulldozer could come tomorrow. Because you always feel like you might just go back home, you don't build deep roots in your community. This constant grinding insecurity stops you from ever planning for the long term, from investing in your future. And it makes it almost impossible to build any real wealth or stability, no matter how hard you work.
And all of this leaves us with a huge, fundamental question. This isn't just about one group of people. It's about the very foundation of the entire urban economy. How can a city or a society truly thrive when the very people who build it and keep it running are trapped in a system that is designed to keep them insecure, invisible, and permanently temporary?